Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalie. I am a first-year nursing student working towards my ADN. And today I really want to talk about the importance of study groups and getting into study groups when you're starting nursing school. This can apply to anybody going to school, so it's not just nursing students, but the way our program is structured and the way that we go through with a cohort, this one really applies to nursing students. Now, when I started nursing school, I went to one study group and then I never went to another one. I just could not make it work with my schedule, and I suffered. I had a hard time retaining the material, and I struggled to really get through that term, and it was a very difficult time, and I had no idea why. So when I started my second term, I came back for that following term, I got into a study group. I made time to meet with them every week, and the difference that came from it, the difference I noticed immediately was immense. It was a huge difference, and my grades really reflected how much work I'd been putting in with my group. Now, why is a group important? Well, accountability. When you have other people there that are counting on you to go through the material with them, you are more in a mindset to really retain the information. Plus, you're teaching it to each other. And sometimes you learn better by teaching the material. So when I would ask a question that I didn't understand, and one of my group mates would be like, this is what that means, they got something out of it too. And then I could turn around and teach them material as well, that I knew that they didn't know. So it's very helpful. Plus, it also provides kind of that close-knit friendship that you might be missing in the lack of a social life that you're having in nursing school. It kind of gives you that little bit of social time with your friends. And you're going through material and you're learning material, but you're getting to spend time with other people that are like-minded and are friends of yours. And that can be really helpful too, because we don't spend enough time on ourselves in nursing school. We spend a lot of time studying and a lot of time locked up at our desk, and having that human interaction is really helpful. So, what kind of group do you need? You really need to find a group of like-minded people who have the same goals as you. Now, they might have different learning styles and they might go about doing things a little bit different than you, but that's a good thing. It provides you with that extra set of eyes, that different point of view that you might not get sitting by yourself at your desk. And it's nice to have that from other people who might have caught something that you missed in the information. Maybe your definition of something was not what they were able to find in the text, or maybe you have a hard time understanding something and they can explain it to you in a way that you understand versus what you've been reading or what you've seen online. So find a group of like-minded people who are really interested in learning and spending the time going over the material. It can be a little bit difficult. Finding a group is sometimes very easy for people. They meet a few people in their class that want to study and you start meeting up, and all of a sudden your study group grows, and those are the people that you're with for the rest of your cohort. And sometimes, like me, not being able to find the time in my first term, I was never really able to find that study group because I couldn't find time to meet with the ones that were meeting, and I didn't really branch out to get to know anybody else in the class. And I do regret that. So find your group, meet people, branch out, introduce yourself, make a group chat between the whole classroom, and put out feelers for study groups. Now, you can also find study groups of people who are not in your cohort. You might find a study group with a person who is ahead of you by a year or by a couple of terms. Or you might find somebody who has already graduated and knows the information or can help you get the information. It doesn't have to be people in your cohort, but it is very helpful when you're in a class with people and you're in a study group with those people as well, because you all have that common goal of getting good grades in that particular class. Now, scheduling study sessions. This is a hard one. This is a hard one because some people have full-time jobs. Some people are parents. Some people are caregivers. And finding a time to meet with everybody can be a really hard time. But do your best to make the time to do a study group. Even if you're just over a Teams meeting or a Zoom call to do the study session, even that works. And you can put it on in the background and do what you're doing. But it's really, really important that you make the time to at least have a Zoom call, if not meeting in person. I'm gonna fall back on what I did in the first term. I did not make the time. I should have made the time, but I did not do so, and I struggled. In my second term, I made the time. I scheduled. We would say in a week in advance, we're gonna meet Friday at this time. I was available Friday at that time. Now, I don't have a full-time job. I don't have kids. I'm not a caregiver. I have cats and dogs and two sisters who have stepped up to take care of everything. So I've needed to do nothing. So I've been able to make the time this term. But when it comes to your education, there are some sacrifices that you might need to make, and some of those sacrifices might need to be making extra time to study with your study group. The downsides of a study group: social hour. Yes, that can be a really important side of study sessions and study groups, but it can also be a complete downfall if your whole study session is spent messing around, laughing and giggling, and not even looking at the material. That can be a huge downside to it, because as nursing students, we don't have much of a social life. That is a very, very hard statement, and it's very true. It's very true. Our social life went out the window the minute we got accepted. So when you get together with a group of your friends to study, sometimes it's very hard to focus. And it can derail an entire session if you spend the whole session just chatting about anything but school. So those are the downsides to it. Another downside is that it does take time. It does take time, and if you have a very tight schedule, it can be very hard to fit in, and it can take away from a lot of other things that you might be doing especially if you go to study one subject and you have to commute to get there and you don't get to spend time on any other subject. So they're not without their problems. Study groups are not without their problems, but these problems are workable. And then that kind of leads me into, what if you get off topic? You have to have the self-control to say, we are off topic and we need to get back to work. Somebody's got to say it. And sometimes that somebody has to be you. I'm lucky in the fact that the group I have, we do love to BS about sweet nothings. It just is something we like to do. But all of us are very, very capable of saying, all right, let's look at the next question. Let's go back to the material. What are we missing here? This is what I know about such and such a topic. And getting back on topic. So it's very important to be able to do that for yourself. Have that self-control to be like, hey, we need to get back on topic. Let's move this along a little bit. We can chat in a little bit when we're done. And finally, are study groups for everybody? No. There's no human being that fits in a mold. I'm saying it's very important and that you should. However, there are those few people out there that really do not benefit from it. Whether it's because they learn better in silence with their headphones on and their earplugs in and they can't go over it. They have to go over the material solo. Or whether it's because you can't find a group that has a common goal with you and it's just derailing your progress. So no, it's not for everybody. Though I think everybody should try it before, they go into working solo 100% of the time. My experience with study groups is that I've been in many study groups where we got nothing done. Or I couldn't keep up with them, or I was frustrated by the material and I wasn't understanding what was going on and it was just derailing the group. I've had those experiences. I've also had experiences that I've learned so much from my study group that it made all the difference in my grade. And I'm in that kind of situation now where it really has made all the difference in my grade because we work really well together and we tend to get the information really solidified. And every time I've had a study group before a test, I've always done really well on the test. So that being said, I think they're very, very important. I think that it's something that you definitely need to look into if you're going to nursing school or if you're in nursing school. If you don't have a study group, get together with some of the people in your class. Say, hey, I want to form a study group. Let's do this. And get it going. Rock it out. Work it together. Because working solo is very, very difficult. And sometimes having that little extra support from a team makes all the difference in the world. So that's all I have for you guys today. This was, I believe, nice, short, and to the point. If you have any comments or have anything to add to this, please add it down in the comments below and click subscribe. Come along, hang out. We have a good time here. I talk a lot. So yeah, that's a thing. Maybe that's something you enjoy. I don't know. I like to put things on in the background and just listen to people ramble on for hours. So maybe that's where I learned to talk. I don't know. But feel free to subscribe if that's something that you are so inclined to do. I would love to have you in the family. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.